Hello and welcome to another episode of Buy, Avoid or Wait for Sale. And in this video, I'll be talking about Ratchet Clank Rift Apart, which is a PS5 exclusive. Now, before I get started, can you please hit the like button because I'm pretty sure you're going to find this video useful. Also, if you're new to the channel, why not check out some of my other content after you've finished this video? And if you enjoy it, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss when I upload another video. And also try and watch all the way to the end of the video. There's some useful information there. Right, let's get into it. So first of all, I'm pretty new to the Ratchet and Clank series. I mean, before Rift Apart, I'd only played the PS4 game that we got for free on PS Plus. The good thing is you don't need to have played any of the previous games to play this one, as there's not a lot of references to the previous games. And if there were, I didn't notice them and wasn't confused by any of them. So you don't need to go on a binge of like all the previous Ratchet and Clank games before you play this one. Another thing, yes, this is technically a kid's game. Just in case that wasn't blatantly obvious from you playing as a character that looks like a fluffy squirrel and as a mini robot that he carries on his back. Okay? I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're a thug, a roadman, or just someone that might be embarrassed when playing kids' games. Put all that aside because this game is fire. You start the game going through a parade celebrating the heroics of Ratchet and Clank for what they did in the previous game. This section kind of works as a small recap of what happened, as well as an action-packed tutorial mission which covers combat, traversal, and just gives you a good feel for some of the enemies that you'll be facing. Without getting into spoiler territory, Dr. Nefarious gets hold of the Dimensionator, which is a big gun that can open up portals to another dimension. And after causing damage with this thing, E, along with Ratchet and Clank, are sucked into an alternate dimension, and Clank ends up being found by Rivet, who's a female Lombax and is basically Ratchet's counterpart from that dimension. What follows is an adventure where you get to play as both Ratchet and Rivet, trying to fix the damage caused to the dimension and defeat Dr. Nefarious. Now, there's a lot of things that I love about this game. Yes, it looks absolutely stunning and takes full advantage of the PS5 hardware, but the biggest thing I like about this game, and it's actually the most important, the game is fun to play. Okay, there have been so many games lately that are great games, but take themselves so seriously. Games that can sometimes feel like hard work, not only to complete, but you need to be in like the right mood to play them in the first place. Rift Apart feels like one of those old video games before everyone decided to get so serious. There's a lot of humor, mostly coming from the enemies that you'll be destroying. I found the robot pirates the most entertaining. The combat is really good. For anyone watching this video that played the PS4 game and enjoyed the combat like I did, this is significantly better, and that has a lot to do with the DualSense controller. Each gun feels different, and you notice from early in the game when you get the automatic pistol. When firing single shots, you can feel, very subtle vibrations in the trigger. But when you over trigger to go full automatic, the vibrations match every rapid fire shot that comes from the gun. With the double barrel shotgun, you can fire a single barrel by pulling the trigger in halfway, or fire both barrels by pulling it in all the way. And that's just, a small early taste of things to come. Once you start getting the heavy duty weapons, you notice the difference because the resistance and vibrations perfectly match each weapon. While we're talking about the combat, let's talk about the enemy AI. They don't just wait around for you to shoot them. They'll flank you whenever they get the opportunity. When you've dealt with a bunch of enemies and there's no nanotech around to restore your health, you'll see more portals appear with more enemies jumping out to kill you. I spent a lot of each battle opening up the weapons wheel, selecting the best weapons for the fight. And the weapons have variety as well as guns and grenades. You'll also get weapons that will provide you with like support when you're getting overwhelmed with the number of enemies attacking you from every direction. In some battles, you'll also see rifts appear, allowing you to pull yourself to safety with the rift tether, or just get a better position on your enemies. There's also the Phantom Dash, which you would have seen in the trailers, and basically gives you a kind of a ghost trail when using it. It lets you avoid attacks, move through some electrical barriers that can't be walked through, reach further locations when traversing, and is very useful in combat. Combining all of these things together creates some seriously fun and epic battles. There's a Mrs. Zircon on every planet, and every time you visit her for the first time, you'll see new weapons appear in her shop. Your currency for buying weapons is bolts, and bolts can be found in everything that you destroy. That's why there's so many wooden boxes around for you to destroy, and when you do, you'll see bolts flying towards Ratchet as if he's full of magnets. Now, when new weapons appear, you'll have the option of watching a preview video for it, and I actually found myself watching every one of these because they were so entertaining.
Boom! That is the sound of pure power. And the Enforcer, with its two barrels of sweet, sweet destruction. You can pull the fire trigger halfway to shoot one barrel, and if you are feeling confident, pull it all the way to shoot both. Boom!
For weapon upgrades, you'll need to find raritanium, which are these large crystals found on each planet. The good thing is they'll appear on the map so you'll know exactly where to find everything. The same thing goes for golden bolts and pocket dimensions, but I'll talk about those later. The upgrade system is pretty simple. You select a weapon to upgrade, and at the top of the screen, you'll see how much raritanium you have available. You then have to select a cell to fill, and each one uses a piece of raritanium. The cells represent things like increased ammo, increased duration, increased damage, etc. You'll also see some golden cells. When you fill the cells around these, it will unlock some bonuses like increased accuracy. There are a lot of cells to fill in, so you can press the triangle button and then highlight all the cells to fill them in quickly. The more you use your weapons, the higher the level will be upgraded to, with a max level of 5. And when you reach each weapon level, it unlocks more upgrade cells. With some of the weapons, you'll notice the design change. A good example of this is the Enforcer shotgun, which will upgrade to 4 barrels. You'll also unlock other boots, which make getting around so much fun. If you hold the right bumper, you'll travel at normal speed. When using this, you can pump both triggers a few times and you'll get to turbo speed. You can even perform tricks when you jump when at turbo speed. Now, let's talk about the side missions. The first thing I want to say is none of the side missions feels like unnecessary filler, and the map's not going to give you anxiety like a Ubisoft game would. There are pocket dimensions for you to navigate through. These are basically navigational puzzles, with the prize being a piece of armor at the end. The Battleplex, which can only be completed as Rivet. These are basically arena battles where you'll have to destroy waves of enemies for a few rounds. These were actually more challenging than I thought they would be. Now, this is because there was no nanotech, which is the thing that you use to heal yourself. There's none of that on most of the challenges, so you're unable to heal Rivet after she takes damage. And believe me, things get real crazy in these battles. I'm not sure if this is different on the lower difficulties, because I was playing on Resistance Leader, which is the second hardest difficulty. Each of these challenges unlocks a different reward, like bolts, golden bolts, and armor. And there are also like other side missions that I'll let you find out about yourself. But they are really addictive, and I found myself completing some of these side missions before, even wanting to continue with the story. The puzzles are also really good. One of the issues I had with the previous game was I found some of the puzzles boring. In this, they're actually fun. One I will mention is one with Clank guiding some phantom Clanks to an objective, which felt a lot like Lemmings from back in the day. When collecting armor, you're actually collecting pieces of different armor sets. You'll collect boots, chest armor, and helmets, and can mix them up when equipping them, or wear a complete set. Collecting gold bolts also lets you customize other things like the color of Ratchet's wrench or Rivet's hammer. You can change the bolts you collect to coins or cans. It unlocks new options for photo modes and a bunch of other things. There's a lot to customize, and there's not a single microtransaction in sight. Now, the voice acting is on point. Each character sounds unique and not just some generic goons. Rivet wasn't annoying at all, which is good because you'll spend a lot of the game playing as her. And my favourite was Dr. Nefarious, who reminded me a lot of the villains I used to see in cartoons when I was a kid. Now, with the length, one thing I saw some people complaining about on the launch weekend was the length of the game. I actually have no problem with the length at all. It took me roughly 15 to 20 hours to complete on Resistance Leader difficulty, which, in my opinion, is the sweet spot for a single player experience. I took a little jab at Ubisoft earlier on, but I have to make another comparison. A lot of gamers actually have other things to do. We have jobs, some of us are at school, college, or uni. Some of us gamers even have kids to look after. And on top of all that, we actually like to play other games as well. We don't have 50 to 200 hours to put into a single video game. Some people have platinumed the game in one day, but we don't know which difficulty they were playing on because there are no difficulty based trophies. At 15 to 20 hours, you can complete the game and then replay it on challenge mode, which is basically this game's New Game Plus. In this mode, you'll get to keep all your weapons and unused bolts, and you can buy stronger versions of the weapons that you manage to get to level 5 if you have the bolts to pay for them. When you buy these, you'll have another 5 levels to unlock on each weapon to take you up to level 10. Now, so far, I've spent this entire video going through all the things I loved about this game, but there are a few minor issues and choices that stop it from getting a perfect 10 out of 10. The only decision I thought was a mistake was making Ratchet and Rivet exactly the same gameplay wise, anyway. The only differences between the two of them is that Ratchet is male and Rivet is female. Ratchet carries a wrench and Rivet carries a hammer. That's it. When you unlock a weapon for one, it unlocks the same weapon for the other. The bolts collected are available for both characters, which I'm actually not mad at, but I would have liked to see some weapons or abilities unique to Rivet that Ratchet doesn't have. The only thing that Rivet can do that Ratchet can't is access the Battleplex arena, as the character you play depends on which planet you travel to. There weren't a lot of glitches in the game, but one annoying glitch was with the first boss battle, where you'll get stuck once you get the boss's health down to 45%. He would just go out of reach and would also stop attacking you when he got down to 45%, and the only thing you could do was restart the checkpoint or jump off the ledge to your death. It took me 3 or 4 attempts to get past this glitch, and a week later it hasn't been patched yet, as I ran into the same issue in challenge mode. There was also an issue with the different graphics modes. When switching to performance ray tracing mode, my TV would just go blank, but I was still able to see everything on my PC through the capture card. I then found out that even though performance and performance ray tracing are aiming for 60 frames per second, my TV thought it was aiming for a higher frame rate than that and just wasn't having it. I had to go into the PS5 settings and switch the feature off before it would work. This immediately fixed the issue, but I didn't have the same issue with other titles like God of War. One thing I will say though is, and this is something I didn't mention earlier, is that performance ray tracing is definitely the graphics setting to play this on. On fidelity mode, the graphics are great, but you can see a little lag, a little motion blur, because it's capped at 30 frames per second. With performance ray tracing, it's a hell of a lot smoother because of the higher frame rate. Still has ray tracing, and even though it's lower than 4K resolution, I really couldn't spot the difference. And this is with a 4K TV that's 5 or 6 years old. Anyone with a newer iSpec TV is in for a treat. So now for the verdict. Should you buy, avoid, or wait for a sale? This is 100% a necessary purchase if you own a PS5. This game has given the best next gen experience I've had since I got the PS5. The graphics are stunning. Using the rifts and switching dimensions feels flawless. It uses the DualSense controller to perfection and is another game that proves that the controller was not a gimmick. Great story, fast paced action, big set pieces, great characters and voice acting. It sets up very nicely for either DLC or a sequel, and it left me with a big smile on my face when I completed it. This is definitely more than just a kid's game and should be played by anyone who loves third person shooters. In fact, if you buy this game for your kids, you're going to be playing this either with them or when they're asleep, and you'll enjoy every minute of it. Now, if you've made it this far, you probably found this video useful. So do me a huge favor and hit the like button. These reviews take some time to put together, so your likes basically help the video do well. Also, check out some of my other content, and if you like it, click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you see when I upload new videos. Thanks for watching.